Welcome to the Mike on Much podcast. This is an episode unlike any other. I am actually in a van right now with our pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham. Shane, what is going on?
I am just loading the SD card to my Cobra cam right now.
Also in the van with us are my brother Greg Veerman up at the front driving, posing as an Uber driver, and Dan Hamilton, who you may remember from the ice cream sandwich saga. Right now, Max Kerman, our friend and trusty producer, is blindfolded, and the nut is bringing him to this van because we are kidnapping him and taking him to a surprise birthday party in Detroit, Michigan, which he does not know. So there's a couple phases of this before Max gets into this van. He's going to get in this van thinking it's an Uber. He's going to take his blindfold off. He will see me, Shane, and Greg. He knows for a fact Dan and the nut are here. He does not know the other three are here.
And I will be filming this on my Cobra HD Adventure Cam. If you hear beeping in the background, that's what it is. I'm just making sure my audio's on.
So once we take the blindfold off, he's going to be like, oh, wow, you guys, where are we going? We are not going to tell him where we're going. Obviously, he'll figure it out once we get to the border. But the second phase of this, which Max does not know, which you guys will know, the listeners, is that there's also another... Hammy, how many people in Detroit?
8 more people in Detroit.
There's 8 more guys in Detroit from Hamilton that have already left. They're setting up a hotel room. So this is 2 phases for Max. First phase, us, cool, where are we going? I don't know. Second phase, get to the hotel in Detroit and find 8 other guys. And now quickly, Dan, maybe give us a little setup as to why we're doing this.
Well, basically, on Max's birthday, he was in New York. The closing band canceled on them. So Max called me up, and he's all mopey, and he's like, Dan, I'm in the middle of New York on my birthday. All I want to be doing is sitting at a pub with all my friends, buying me shots, celebrating me for once in my life, because I haven't got to do it for the last 10 years because the band always ruins my birthday. So as my best friend, you have to organize a birthday party when I'm back. I'm free on the 12th. Go do it. So then I thought, what's the funnest thing? What does Max love the most? Road trips. So I sent out a message to all the Shame boys, and luckily we have now 14 guys who've taken the day off work and are coming to Detroit.
That's a fact. We're going to drive to Detroit, see the Detroit Pistons play the Denver Nuggets.
So what's your role in this, Greg? You're Mike's brother, right?
That's right. Oh, I'm the Uber driver today. I got sunglasses, so I'm like incognito. And I got a sweet Australian accent, mate. We're going to go surfing. We're going to go surf the Gardner. And it's going to be great.
Okay, Max is literally being blindfolded. He's got a This is hilarious. I gotta be. Dan is holding his hand. Shane is filming this. I'm gonna start being quiet right now so Max doesn't know what's going on.
In the side door. Yeah. Am I good in here? Yep.
I feel like we should just keep him blindfolded all day.
If we don't tell him what's going down this road.
Yeah, totally.
Drink this beer.
Yeah.
Oh. Eat this chicken wing.
Guys, now that you mention that, I think I might drink a beer.
Oh, I definitely need a beer. But anyway, the reason why I'm actually a little happy that I'm a little hungover today is that I'm using the old Julian trick that if you want to be good for the next day, then you have to be.
Oh yeah, the 2-day hangover.
The 2-day hangover.
Yeah, he drinks on Friday when he has to like wake up without a hangover Sunday.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Inspiration for this weekend. A lot going on this weekend too with the Foreman family Christmas.
The whole shebang.
We do have a big weekend together.
Yeah.
All right, Max, you can take off the blindfold.
I can take off the blindfold.
Yeah, ready? 1, 2, 3. Surprise!
Oh,
Look around.
Look behind you.
Hey! Welcome to the Mike on Much podcast.
This is great. Oh, hey, Greg.
That's our Australian Uber driver.
So is this a rental?
No, we bought this for your birthday, actually.
It's all yours, baby.
So are we doing a live pod right now?
We're doing a pod, yeah.
Okay, let's get into it. What's going on, guys?
Not much. So this is the Maxapalooza because our guest today is Max Schneider.
Oh, nice.
He is a very, very successful and popular musician and actor. He was in the Brian Wilson movie.
He's
Love
a
and Mercy.
YouTuber, though.
A YouTuber is where he got to start as a singer. But he's got like millions of followers and all that stuff. But he was actually a really insightful guy from New York. We'll get to him in a bit. More importantly, happy birthday, Max.
Hey, this is the best surprise I could hope for. This
Did
is
we
awesome.
tell him where we're going?
No.
Oh.
Why would we do that?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a fun way to surprise him just by telling him the thing right off the bat.
Yeah,
Okay.
keep it a mystery. I like
Intrigue.
this. Though I will
Intrigue.
say, you know, because we were trying to plan to when we were going to pod this week, and I said, oh, tomorrow I can do it earlier in the day, but it's up to, but Dan has a birthday thing planned, and it's up to him. And then you texted right back, said, oh, Dan is not allowing it. So I assumed Dan put the kibosh on it, but we're doing 2 birds, 1 stone. This is very Max.
We set up that texting chain to f with you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Woo! But good job. You fooled me. But you know what? I'm known as a bit of a multitasker. So this is actually
This is your dream?
This is my dream. I'm getting some work done, and I'm also partying. This is awesome.
If you had to guess, though, where would you say we're going?
Where are we going? I mean, okay, we're going west. We're on the Gardner Expressway right now for our listeners, and we could be getting off at Jameson and going to somewhere in Liberty Village or something. Medieval times.
Greg Veerman just yelled medieval times, baby. Greg, you can't speak unless it's in an Australian accent, so give us a loud one.
Medieval times, baby.
It was kind of cockney. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't get off at Jameson, then I don't know where we're going, to be honest.
Oh, hold on. Well, Dan, you got party favors, didn't you? I did. We're talking. We got like snacks and energy drinks.
Do we have snacks?
So let's get them.
Because I'm hungry right now.
Let's get those going. We've got a cranberry cashew almond mix.
Ooh,
that'll be good.
healthy.
Oh, not a lot of health going on in this bag. Oh, look at these, Maxie. What do we got? Big old bag of chocolate.
Those are Twix.
We're not going to say because of competitive brand
we want to
partners.
keep our brand options
on
open.
the pod.
I like it.
The M&M's Caramel Lounge. Just tons of
It's
candy.
just all M&M's caramel, if you wanted to know.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Were you surprised, or did you know shit was going down like this?
No, I honestly thought I was in a real Uber, and I honestly thought, I thought there might be people behind me, so I was right
Did you
about
see
that.
through your hat, though, when you had it pulled down?
No, I was looking down though on the ground, so I didn't trip, but wasn't looking down.
You didn't see my feet walking or anything?
Nope.
Okay.
You were in the car?
I was walking with you, filming you.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. I had no idea.
You should also film yourself crushing that chocolate. It is a disaster.
For our listeners, just so you know, like throughout this episode, you might hear like a beep. That's just gonna mean we're jumping a bit ahead in time as we get to certain points. If you hear that,
We're on the 427 heading northbound right now, so we did not get off on Jameson, which would have been the cool neighborhood to go to. I was kind of expecting a Queen Street West sort of hip hangout. Right now we're going to north of Etobicoke, it appears. So, okay, I'm going to start asking questions. I'm going to try to figure out where we're going.
okay.
Yeah, Dan suggested they have to be yes or no questions.
Okay, is it an airport?
No.
No.
Is it a restaurant?
No.
Well, we will eat at a restaurant at some point.
Yes.
Is it in Mississauga?
No.
Thank God.
I love this theme.
Yeah. So no Mississaugians allowed at our Kel shows either, apparently.
Get out. Where the are we going? Like, what else is there up here? No offense to people living out here in the burbs, but good Lord. Is it sports themed?
Yes.
Are we swimming?
Potentially.
We could
Well,
possibly.
in theory, I guess we could.
Okay. Are we going to a hotel?
Yes.
Interesting. I like this. What the none of this makes sense to me. What are you going to tell me? Okay, give me a slight reveal.
Slight reveal.
Yeah.
Okay, close your eyes again.
Okay. Hey, Dan, open the glove box.
It's a gun. Okay, open your eyes.
Okay, that's my passport.
There's nothing in your passport. That
Okay.
just is your passport.
That's my passport. So we're going to the airport.
Not going
Okay.
to the airport. The airport, we are literally...
Are we going to Detroit?
Yes.
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 Ah!
We are going to Detroit.
Are we going to? Is there a basketball game there?
Yes.
Ah! This is exciting.
There
And
you go.
everyone's going. Are you guys going to Detroit? Do we have to let you off in Hamilton or something?
We're just commuting home.
Hey, this is great.
Yeah, there you go.
So, is there a game tonight or something?
There is a game tonight, yeah.
What's going on?
Nothing gets past you, Maxie. Are we going to a basketball game? Yes. So we're going to the game or what? Well done. Yeah.
Is there
I
a game
nailed
tonight?
it.
You nailed it.
It
You
only
got
took
it.
me 33 questions.
That's it.
So, listeners, now you know we are headed. Well, you guys already know because I was talking to you before Max got in the van. It's a whole episode,
This
Maxie.
is great. I'm loving this.
All
Good
right.
job, guys.
We'll
work
be
trip.
coming back.
It's a work trip. That's right.
Yeah, write it all off. Keep your receipts, boys.
We'll beep ahead now. Okay, we've jumped ahead. We are now in Detroit at the hotel room. We're all trying to be very quiet because if he comes up and he hears us talking, it's going to be really clear that all these guys have been waiting in Detroit for the last 2 hours for us to arrive. Dan Hamilton just gave the text that says quiet. Max just walked in and he turned around and walked away. Pop it.
Yeah, guys. It's so fucking sweet. This is the fucking best. Guys, thank you. You make me cry.
We're going to jump ahead. Okay, before we get to the dessert, which we are going to record on the way home from Detroit, we have Max on the podcast as a guest. Not our Max.
Littler Max.
That's right. Super charismatic guy, great singer. Instagram, Max Hell's Kitchen.
Model.
That's right. You actually did a digital dessert with him.
I did. And hopefully this can go up in coincidation with it.
Yeah, let's throw it all up there. Coincidation. Yeah, so we're going to throw to Max. This interview, a note for listeners, took place in November, actually, the day after the terrorist attack in November in New York City, where he's from. So we sort of opened with a conversation about that. But I was really impressed with him. I liked him a lot.
He really taught me a lot about the digital desserts also, because he was so media trained and quick on his feet. It was really hard to fuck with him. So I had to edit the shit out of this one more than any other digital dessert.
All right, so keep an eye out for that. It'll be up hopefully at the same time as you are listening to this. Let's get to Max. How's it going?
It's wonderful, man. Delighted to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Oh, man. Always.
So I know we're here to talk about the tour, but I just kind of wanted to start because obviously there was an attack in New York City last night.
Yeah.
You're from New York City.
I am from New York.
I guess I want to ask, what goes through your head when something like that happens, at home? Were you on the road at that moment?
I was on the road. I was in Chicago, and, well, first I called my family, all my best friends. My best friend, who was my best man at my wedding, and, he works right next to where it all happened. So,
wow.
With all the horrible events that keep happening, and it feels numb that it happens over and over again. This was the first time for me that it was right near my place, my spot, my family's around there. And, in the end, the only way I can really react is, with love. I think that anytime events like this happen, they want us to be afraid. People that commit these acts. I remember we had our first show in London in May, and that was right after the attack in Manchester.
Yeah.
And everybody told us we should cancel the gig, and my parents and everybody. And of course, in my belief, you can't cancel it. You can't cancel anything. You got to just do it, because if you do that, that's the intention. That's what they want. And so the only way to ever combat it is with love, is with coming together, is with showing them that we're even stronger when these things happen. And there's really nothing else I can muster up to do in this situation except for that, because otherwise I feel weak. I feel like there's nothing that anybody can do, which is the worst feeling in the world, to feel like you're powerless.
Yeah, you just have to continue to live your life, or else the alternative is them succeeding at their goal.
But another really big thing that I talk about with a lot of friends, and I think we tour a lot, and you interact with so many people of different cultures, of different of different backgrounds, and I'm very anti-Trump, and my whole family is, all my friends are, and it's interesting though, because we go to a lot of places where people are very pro-Trump in the States, and I think that people who live in certain cities that are all anti-Trump, and they just talk about it like, oh, these terrible people that are voting for this guy or they're supporting this guy. It's like, it's a very different conversation when you are in front of a person that disagrees with you and you talk to them about it. And I think the only way to really solve any of this is to find common ground. And it seems crazy to even think about that with terrorism or people in that situation. But a lot of these people that are committing these crimes and these heinous acts in the States, especially, are from the States. They're not immigrating from
they
places.
grew up in American culture.
A lot of them grew up in it, and so that tells me more than ever that it's a mental health thing. That's a mental health issue that if we communicate a little bit more, there's really, what else can we do? In the end, it's like you can fight it all you want, but it only takes one crazy person to decide that they're gonna use their car in a different way than just driving. And
sure to weaponize it.
It's a weaponize it. What are we going to do except for try to communicate with them to tell them, don't do that. Please, why are you even thinking? What in you makes you believe that that's the thing you need to end your life with, or that's the message? What is it going to accomplish for you? And so that's the only thing I can think of is communicating. Understand why
communication.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't mean to relate it in a political way, but I do. It does fascinate me. I was in an airport the other day with my partner Ryan, my musical partner, and we're in the airport and we're in Atlanta, and an African American guy is talking to us about music, and we're talking. He like cracks a Trump joke, and the guy's like, "Oh, I voted for Trump," and I think Ryan especially was like, "What?"
Shocked.
Like, what? He just like. You're like an African American musician from Atlanta. Why did you vote? Why did you vote for Trump? What was the reasoning? He's like, oh, he's a smart business guy. It seemed like, and when you start to talk to certain people and how they feel about certain issues or where they grew up, it's like it's not a bad. This isn't an idiot. This isn't a guy that we should throw aside and say anybody like this guy, get out of here. This is someone we should try to understand. And once we talked to him, he was like, oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, I probably made a stupid decision, but nobody really talks to me about it. And it's strange to relate it, but in a similar way, trying to understand people is I think the best way to make any change, you know?
Well, and the key is, like, I think all of us with our Twitter and our social media and our Facebooks is we're kind of in a bubble. So we're always talking to ourselves. It's people that are like-minded.
Of course.
So, like, the idea is to try and understand, well, if somebody is thinking differently than me, like you said, they might have valid reasons. Maybe we can understand those things by having those conversations. You mentioned, Trump and politics, and I'm always fascinated by the idea of, as an entertainer, one might say, hey, listen, when you go see somebody, it's to have sort of relief or sort of a break from reality, which can be these days very polarizing and depressing.
Yeah.
But other people say, hey, you have a platform.
You have a voice. You have a platform.
Use it. Where do you fall on that spectrum? Are you like, hey, let's let people forget for a bit? Or are you like, shit, I need to speak about these things because I have an audience?
I would say that I have very specific message and very specific beliefs that I like to bring to it. One of which is, the main song of mine that people are hearing the most right now is a song called Lights Down Low. And that song I wrote for my wife and I proposed to her with it. And every night we talk about equality for love. And before the song I say this song stands for love, whether you are gay, you are straight, you're bisexual, you're transgender. We're going to fight for love forever. And this song will be that for you, for everyone. And in that way, it's like I want them to get lost in the night, and I do want it to be a relief. But to be able to have a couple little moments of saying, hey, everybody, this is something that we really believe in, and we want you to feel safe at these shows. I think for me, the only thing that I want to bring in a show environment like that is to make people feel safer, to make people feel more connected to it. Otherwise, I don't want to, and even when, I've had that speech in places like Chicago where people roar and say, hell yeah, I agree. And I've had that speech in churches in South Carolina where I'm just silence happens after that. And that's one of the weirdest feelings in the world when you say that.
It's easy to say in a liberal place,
of course,
but to go and say it somewhere that is super conservative.
Gosh, in that conservative environment, but I think that's the most important, to have a little moment of being uncomfortable with people.
Sure.
Yes, I want you to lose yourselves. By the way, I think there is a responsibility with the platform to be able to say, I know that you came out for this, but if I could just really quick, I don't want to hit you with, I don't like Trump and all these different things. I'm not here for that. I'm not a politician. But if I could just change your mind a little bit about maybe supporting people for being who they are and being comfortable with who they are, that would be, because it's in your backyard. It's all around you. And after that, I always talk about that specific one because it was this show in this church for this radio station. And I made the speech, and usually there's at least somebody's like, yeah. And this one, silence, nothing. And so, I was like, man, maybe this is the day that somebody comes up and knocks me out. Like, who knows?
Sure.
And after the show, a bunch of people started coming up to me and whispering, being like, hey, I appreciated that speech. I'm gay, and, I didn't want to say anything. It was like kind of a weird room, but, I appreciate you saying that. And one after the other, different people with different stories. And when you realize that, it's just the culture we're brought up in. There's the roaring in certain cities, and there's also the quiet. And that's what I think is the most poisonous. When it's too quiet, then you have people fits of rage, not knowing what to do with themselves, and that's what I think leads to so many terrible things when people are not open about their feelings
They
or
feel
open
they
about
need
who
to
they
hide
are.
themselves and their true nature.
Yeah, and how did you expect these people to feel? And that's something that I think is so in long story short, yes, I think that it is important for any artist or any band to use their platform, if not just slightly, to hopefully bring a message that's positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shifting gears a bit.
Sweet.
Yeah, you were in Love and Mercy.
Oh yeah, sweet.
I mean, and
Cool.
you sort of touch all aspects of entertainment, like acting, dancing, singing, all this stuff. How do you, I guess because we always talk about on my new show, sort of the business or how artists do their work.
Yeah.
How do you even find yourself in that movie? Is that like an audition process? Do you know the people producing it?
Yes, yeah, in that specific process, I actually auditioned for one of the, I think I auditioned for Carl, one of the Beach Boys.
Beach Boys, yeah,
yeah,
nice.
yeah, and then I wasn't right for it, and I auditioned a bunch, and then finally, one of
with
the
Van Dyke Parks,
one of the guys was like,
yeah.
"Hey, you kind of look like Van Dyke Parks, like you're kind of thin, and like you maybe if we give you glasses." And then all of a sudden, boom, that was it. So that was probably my favorite role that I've gotten to portray ever, but in the last few years for sure, because I am very obsessed with the Beach Boys and Brian Wilson, and getting to hang out with Brian Wilson was, he's one of the greatest minds of our generation, musically, and just it's fascinating to see him just be present, just to see him in a room and to think of the music that he's created, and getting to research Van Dyke Parks, and just it was beautiful to be a part of that movie. But funny enough, that was a time in my life where I was kind of a foot in both worlds, and I was very depressed doing most roles. That role I was very excited to do, but I actually stopped doing acting shortly after that, just because I didn't feel like I was giving my all to either craft, and I'd love to go back and do more roles. But I think that you saying that, it's interesting that I think that there's a lot of people who, it doesn't mean you can't do it all, but I think that you have to focus during each parts of your life to do certain things, and I've kind of learned that the hard way in going cold turkey to just do music, and now I'm the happiest I've ever been with it. But at that time,
into auditioning at some point?
Yeah, I'd be down to do. I would hope. I think about it in my life. I would hope that, again, it's interesting you bring. That was the movie that changed everything for me, because I'd been doing different acting things and stuff. But working with Paul Dano,
I was going to ask about that
man,
specifically.
He transcends. He is the most normal and yet just transformative actor I've ever worked with. Like, he would be on a cigarette break and you could kick it, and then he takes an hour, he gets in the role, and you're literally looking at him. This is another person now. He's become another person. He's living so truthfully in this role that I couldn't say, "Yo, Paul, that was a good take." No, this is Brian Wilson now. And seeing somebody, I had never worked with an actor like that. I've worked with great actors, but I'd never seen somebody like that. And seeing that, I was like, if I'm not going to be this guy, I don't want to do this. And I didn't have that passion for it. I didn't want to become a part like he becomes a part. And I think that's what clicked for me, realizing I'm never going to be that good. I'm never going to be that into it. I'm never going to be that happy to be that into it. I'm happy to live in a van and experience music and meet people all over. That makes me happier than anything. And he might not be as into that as I am,
Sure.
And I think I realized that I would love to be the guy who does movies eventually, who it's like, it's a random one, but like Lenny Kravitz in The Hunger Games
Sure,
is a really
yeah,
random
yeah.
one that I bring up, but it's like you see him in The Hunger Games, you're like, oh, it's Lenny Kravitz in The Hunger Games. It's not like, oh, Lenny Kravitz, the Oscar award-winning actor. It's like, I would hope that getting to do roles and people, it would be beautiful to do it, but to be known as the music guy, Max.
Or
who
like
does some
Steven
acting.
Van Zandt in Sopranos.
Totally.
From Bruce Springsteen's band. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Those are good gigs if you can get
Hey,
them.
yeah, if you can get him, and so I'd be very interested in that. But that was a life-changing movie, because just seeing him work, it was something I realized I don't have that gift, and that's beautiful. He has that gift, and people who have those gifts, he would be willing to live in a van to become that part. And I always say this now, living in a van to do music and living on a blow-up mattress with my wife. If you are willing to live in a van on a blow-up mattress and you not shower a lot and just live that life for anything that you can do in your life, then you're meant to do it, I think. And that's sort of the test of time. It can't be about money. You'll make money. Can't be about anything, fame, none of those things. It has to just be about you love it that much that you would do that.
As an entertainer, and I'm sure you know a lot of creatives, obviously, like just through your work growing up. I've found that there's always sort of like this interesting sort of like line where I've met people that are incredibly talented, but they're not super interested in sort of the business side, or their ambition is just, it's kind of, they're like, fuck it. You know, take it or leave it.
Totally.
And then there's people that are incredibly ambitious and maybe not as talented as, you know, a guy in a coffee shop, but they will make it. Have you always been, you know, somebody that's like, you know, you recognize your talent early, but then had the drive? Like, do you feel like you're someone that would succeed in any sort of line of work, or do you feel like it's specific, I guess, one, to entertainment, and two, do you think you have this sort of inherent ambition?
I'm definitely, I would say, very, very ambitious. But it has to be for the right thing, I would say. You know, I don't want to do 20 auditions a week. I don't want to work at that. I'm not willing to. But for music, I will go everywhere. I will do 7 shows a day. I will do all those things. And because of that, I will make every call. I will try to figure out every little empty space that ends up being the thing that gets us to the next point. It never feels like work, but I'll work the hardest. And I think that for me, there may be other things in the world that I would feel that way about. But I do think that it is I know a lot of really incredibly talented people who, like you said, are not very ambitious, and it's a shame, because you could see if they just connected the dots a little bit more, it would be amazing. But honestly, I think that piece is sometimes even more important than talent in a certain way. And you can become better. You have to have a spark, I think, but you can become better if the work ethic, I think, is something that's built in you, and if you have that, you can really accomplish. I wouldn't say anything, but I would say anything that you're so passionate about doing.
The value and improvement.
The value and improvement, for sure. I mean, you as a dancer, it's like all these different things. As a dancer, you don't have to be the best dancer, but if you work the hardest at it, you could become the best dancer. You know, there's just certain things that you'll never be able to compete with somebody else's born talent that is just out of this world. But if you work just as hard as that person, you might be able to get the gig that they wanted to get, because they wouldn't even look for it. So it's such a fascinating question, because I think about it a lot. That I know so many musicians, way more talented musicians than I'll ever be. Especially theoreticians and things of that sort, just savants that I love singing and performing, but
they understand the math of music in a way that is incomprehensible.
In those ways, I could never work. I could probably work hard enough to get to that point, but I will never be what they are, what they've been born with. You know, but to get people to hear it, I guess it's such a fascinating question, because it is something I think about a lot. That it is so. I'm grateful that I feel the way I do about it, because I love it so much, and I love working for it. And I'm proud to work for it. Whereas, I do think about how, there's so many friends of mine that I wish they had that same feeling, but at the same time, I'd probably be jealous too if they had that feeling. I'm jealous of their talent already. Can't be jealous of everything. So
yeah, man,
it's natural.
Well, I guess lastly, you're coming up on a year of marriage.
Yes, indeed. Year and a half. We're a little over a year.
Oh, year and a half.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, we're a little
I
over.
read like November 2016.
No, it's all good. Yeah,
man, the internet's
we're a little over it.
Full of lies, man.
Damn it, internet.
Yeah, I'm at a year.
Oh, awesome. Congrats.
Thank you
Beautiful.
very much. What have you learned in your year and a half? I mean, you're on the road.
Yeah.
You work very much. I mean, how do you make that work?
The usual, yes, dear, happy wife, happy life. All of those cliches are very true. But I think communication, that's everything. I had a fight with my wife this morning. We were flying in. We didn't have she's British, and she didn't have an ETA, which I didn't know was a thing. And we're in the airport at 6:30 in the morning, and she's very hormonal right now, and she's freaking out, and I'm trying to figure out how to, get over this. And she's saying some things, and we have fights, and we don't have a lot of fights. We figure it out pretty quickly. It's like, is this worth us feeling this all day? And I think that the communication of 20 minutes in, us both looking at each other saying, I'm sorry, being like, it's not worth feeling like this all day. And those are moments that I'm grateful for with her. That, I mean, she is my soulmate, my best friend. And I think that.
Did you have to learn that though?
I would say we learned it together. We at first, I think there's the usual, and I'm sure you've experienced this too. When you first start any relationship, there's nothing. It's paradise. It's beautiful. Yeah. But there's such a magic in both ways of losing that and finding something new when you dive deeper and deeper with the person, and knowing every intricacy of their tissue, of their love, of their life. And in those ways, I couldn't live without her. I love her more than anything, and I'm grateful that we have more arguments or disagreements or things than we did in the beginning, because we grow even more into it together, and there's things we learn about each other, and so I definitely, it all stems with space and communication, and that's it. I think you just have to understand what the other person needs and not be offended by it. It's like, if she likes to be alone sometimes, like, that's what she needs. If you like to be alone sometimes, that's what you need. Whatever it may be, I think it's just being okay with all of the little nuances that you fell in love with someone for.
Thanks so much for your time, man.
Thank you so much, brother.
Appreciate it. Welcome to the dessert. It is 10 a.m. in Detroit, Michigan. Shane, you're a pop culture aficionado. What's going on?
We are pulled over. And why are we pulled over, Nut?
Well, I'm not sure dessert is the right word to be using right now based on Max's recent activities.
Right.
I'm not sure he can handle any dessert right now.
Would you say he just lost his lunch?
He literally jumped. He jumped out of the car while it was moving to throw up in front of a bunch of other cars that were driving past. It was like a war movie, if I may say.
We do have footage of it. I'm just not sure if we're allowed to use it.
Yeah, I don't think we would be allowed to use it. We're not going to We're also not going to mention who filmed it. We'll keep that.
All right.
Or maybe put it on the pod Insta story.
All right.
Snackable content.
It is snackable.
Barfable content.
Max maybe over-celebrated his birthday last night.
We've lost Max.
Well, speaking of snackable content, I don't know if we should go for breakfast, because you also just wolfed down an entire bag of Mars Minis.
Yeah, I have been eating like a little bit of a pig. Yeah. I've been birchling out. I'm just going to... just a little new expression.
Yeah, thanks for that. You look great, though.
Is this sarcasm?
No. I
Save
think
it for the rap battle.
I think you look fantastic. You got a new hat last night. It was a big night for you. No drinking still, which is pretty impressive.
But I was up the latest.
He doesn't drink, but he still has a major Coke problem.
Yeah. No, he drinks a ton of Coke. I watched you down like 3 of those jumbo
Their
jugs.
diet.
Yeah, in the U.S., they're even bigger.
They justify my Mars Minis.
Yeah. Well, so we all had wild nights,
Yeah,
well, you were filming the whole night. You couldn't dare fall asleep.
Well, we'll get into that
lest
later.
you miss any footage for your Cobra documentary.
But should we pause now and get back into it?
We'll jump ahead when Max is back.
Well, he literally just said, "Guys, I think you should just go and leave me here." So he might not.
Did he really say that?
Yeah. So he might not be coming home.
And we are back. About 2 hours has passed since we were last recorded. Nut, you want to give us an update? Or Shane, it's your dessert.
So Max, he's just left the vehicle, and he vomited again. And we're leaving him in Windsor?
We're a man down.
So as soon as we crossed the border, like, it seemed like Max was actually going to come with us back to Toronto. But then literally 5 minutes after we passed the border, he asked us to pull over to the casino and got out and vomited everywhere. And then we also lost Dan Hamilton, who, being a good friend, is hanging the day or the night with him. I guess we'll get an update maybe at the end of this dessert.
Maybe we'll give Max a call and see how he's doing.
He was not looking good.
Anyway, I mean, yeah, that was crazy. I hope he's well. Listeners, you may have noticed by now that we do not have Max with us, but we have the Nut in Max's place.
I feel like that's a good plan D. You don't have Max. No, I mean, listen, Max can't handle his party. Out the van he goes, and we move on with our lives.
So are we doing the entire dessert right now?
Well, we can do whatever you want.
These are my notes here.
Oh, you took notes.
Oh, jeez.
Spontaneous party Shane. With his, that's a lot of notes. Yeah, that brothel story's got to go.
Okay, so I guess
keep that laughing. That was a good laugh for me. Keep that
the brothel joke stays.
Yeah.
This was one of the weirder nights, not what I expected at all. And I guess it started with the second surprise, phase 2, with Max in the room.
Yeah. He did not expect those other 8 dudes to be there.
And we were doing a little bit of a pre-drink. The whole point of this, we were taking Max to see the Detroit Pistons game. And as the sober guy, I kind of actually want to get to the basketball game, which was, what are we doing right now?
There's ice on the windshield wiper.
Okay.
Safety first.
I'll
here,
wait.
guys.
I'll wait for Greg.
No, this is what happens when you pod from the van.
We back rolling?
We rolling. It'll connect in the edit.
So I'm trying to get to the Little Caesars Center, which is where the Detroit Pistons play.
Arena.
Close enough.
Little Caesars Arena. Sorry,
He's
guys.
just trying to get to a Little Caesars.
Yeah, literally though.
And I am hungry, so
Yeah.
I actually do want to eat the pizza. So as soon as we get to the arena, we all go for Little Caesars naturally. And so that takes us, we're already deep into the first. By the time we end up getting our pizza, it's getting into the second quarter. You guys are feeling pretty good.
Indeed.
Feeling great by that point.
So we actually split off into 2 groups. There was 14 of us in total. 7 on one side of the floor and 7 on the completely other side of the floor. Mike was with the Nut and Max's crew.
Yep.
And I was with Dan Hamilton and your brother Greg.
Yep.
The B crew.
People might know. Yeah, exactly. People. I was not happy about it. Especially, I had to sit beside Dan, who people who know me can get quite chatty, which I'll get to. So, again, I'm the sober guy. I'm looking forward to seeing the game. The second I sit down, Greg's like, oh, man, there's fucking 2 minutes left till halftime. But then we see an ad for hats. The girl comes on this beautiful jumbo screen that they have at this center. And she was talking about there's 25% off all these hats. And often when we go on these trips, we all like to get the same hat.
True.
But I guess the Nut is contractually obligated not to get anything.
No, I support the teams that pay my mortgage, you know?
But you refuse to wear anything that says Detroit.
Yeah, I only wear Toronto gear.
And Mike also is kind of in the same camp because you're such a diehard Raptors fan.
True.
Currently,
you refuse to get a hat.
Currently in a Raptors 905 hat as we speak.
I refuse to wear an opposing NBA team's gear in any situation.
But that's your crew on the other side. So it's kind of like 2 different worlds. So over on our world, we all agree that hats would be cool and it'll be a fun night and have these individual hats.
Merch is always fun too because you always remember the trip. Like people are like,
Exactly.
why do you have a Detroit Pistons hat, Shane? It's like, oh, I went to a game. You know.
Well, that started when you guys went to the Indians game, right?
It's a tradition. So we go to this huge hat store that Detroit has, and this story's a hit already.
The big hat store. Yeah. The world famous Detroit hats.
It is huge.
Yeah, huge.
Well, it had
Bigly.
literally it had 1,000 different hat selections. I'm not even exaggerating. So all of us have very unique tastes, and we all just take our time going through all these different hats. They even had kind of like a Johnny Depp style Indiana Jones.
Oh, yeah?
Weird hat
with the Pistons logo.
Yeah, I was contemplating getting it. It was like an official NBA, but it was $55, and even with 25% off, that's still quite a bit of money, especially American. I finally find the hat that I'm wearing right now, and everyone's like, "Oh, Shane, I'm jealous of that hat. That's the coolest hat," etc. They are. Everyone liked my hat, and
the place is going wild.
Yeah,
for this.
well, all of our friends, and then Greg Veerman, who's one of like the, he's a style icon in our group. He sees it. Greg's like, "Oh, I'm not even going to get a hat. That was one of the only hats I thought was cool, and now you have it." So I'm feeling really good about this hat. Then I'm like, "Don't worry, Greg. I found a good hat that you might like." He's like, "Yeah, right." I go around the corner. He's like, "Oh, wow, these are cool hats." So I point him to the hat that I think is good, and he's like, "That's close to my style, but the hat above it I really like."
But he was too short to reach it.
He is quite petite.
Yeah, I got it for him. So I get him the hat, give it to him. Then we're with Psycho, who's kind of he's a strange cat.
Yeah, he sucks.
So
he's the kid in our group.
Yeah, he's the youngest. He's like 21 or something in our group, and so maybe he's 25 now.
I have no idea.
We get him a hat. Then Robascula, he's a bit of an oddball too in the group. We find him a hat. He has very specific tastes. So we all get our hats, but this is taking quite a while.
Much like this story.
Right, sorry. I'm going to edit this. Don't worry. So then we finally get back to our seat, and now there's 2 minutes left in the third quarter. So I've missed a huge portion of this game, but I'm like, okay, I'm hunkering down. I'm getting ready to listen. But then
to listen?
No, to watch.
Right,
sorry,
okay.
To watch the game.
Puts his blindfold on and just takes in the sounds of the arena or the center.
And then Dan Hamilton's like, "Oh, Shane, I got to tell you about this Boy Meets World 12-story arc." I'm like, uh-oh. So he goes into this. Admittedly, it was a very emotional story arc. It was funny. It hit all the points. But I'm like, I just want to watch the fucking game. But Dan's not picking up any of my social cues that I really don't give a shit of his story that much. And then Dan, at the end, he starts like crying, and he's like, "Oh my god, I have chills right now." And he's like, "Just me telling that story, I have chills." And I'm like, okay. The buzzer goes off, and the game's over. And then we're at a Kid Rock themed bar. Kid Rock's from
I guess
Detroit.
he has a bar in the Little Caesars Center.
Yeah, hey, when in Rome.
Kid Rock's bar.
You have the Instagram out, and that's a large part of your brand is filming drinks, I guess. Purchasing drinks, filming drinks, and all that.
Yeah, filming drinks.
So
yeah.
you're
rack focus on those.
You're
drinks.
lining up a huge amount of drinks. It came to what, $150?
Oh, that doesn't matter.
Everyone's drinking, and I'm glad that I'm with the group because I get to show off my hat. I'm like, hey, I have the coolest hat. And then Mike goes, I don't know. I think Psycho has the best hat. Mike's like starting to irk me, so it's like a sign of things to come potentially.
Oh, I see the story development already. It's like P.T. Anderson.
No,
is
but
in this car
it honestly kind of bothered me. I'm like, no, mine's the coolest hat. It's like
I felt like Psycho needed a win. You know, I also told me I had a good coat earlier in the night, and you said, "What is that? A pea coat? More like a shit coat." I felt like Psycho needed a little bit of pumping up.
Editor's note, what I actually said was it looks more like a poo coat. Back to the program.
But I just was so proud of my hat. So I'm still filming the doc with the Cobra HD Adventure Cam.
Yeah.
Literally filming everything.
Yeah, I'm filming everything in the night. And then finally, I guess, where do we go to? An arcade? For the
It's
first
like
part of the night?
it's like the ballroom of Detroit, as Dan Hamilton described it, because they got bowling alleys and like a Pop-A-Shot and all that stuff.
And we decide to walk there. And now everyone's at a pretty good drunk level where the wrestling's begun. People are throwing stuff like tipping mailboxes, like typical fun stuff that's great to have on film.
There's a general meanness starting to
Yeah,
percolate.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so I get to the arcade, and I'm like, oh, they have one of those hoop machines.
Like a Pop-A-Shot.
Pop shot where you throw the basketball and get the points. And I go to take out money because it only takes cash. I decided to take out $80 because I'm going to be buying a round of drinks in the middle of the night at some point. But the machine only takes dollar bills or $5 bills. So I have to go break my 20s. She's like, oh, I only have 5. So she gives me a shit ton of 5s. I go over to the arcade machine and it won't take my 5. I keep putting it in. It keeps spitting it out, putting it in. And all of a sudden, this huge fucking guy comes over to me, bumps into me, and looks down at me and gets in my way. And I'm like, yeah, it won't take my 5. And he just looks at me and kind of smirks and grins and then looks at my wad of cash. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm in Detroit. This guy sees I have a bunch of money. And I have an exaggerated view that Detroit is such a dangerous place.
Sure.
Like years ago, my friend went to Detroit and he was robbed at gunpoint. And I always remember, like, Detroit's not a place to be, like, flashing cash. And he's with another huge guy who's watching me, and he's giving me, like, an intimidating look. So
for people listening, this is like a very upscale bar. It's, like, very pretty. It's not like a grungy arcade. It's like a pretty high-end
This
place.
was weird. I'm telling you, it was very weird.
Okay. That wad of 5s looks real
yeah, that huge
nice.
Wad
So
of $60.
I run away from the Pop-A-Shot, and then
He runs away.
It was freaky. Anyone would run away in this situation. I run, and then Birchel's lining up another thing of shots for his Instagram account.
First of all, that was Dan Hamilton bought that
Well,
round.
you're filming it like you purchased it.
It's always a savvy move.
Yeah.
And you're like, Shane, just between you and I, I'm sneaking out after this round, so I'm ghosting just to let you know.
Nailed the impression of me, by the way.
So, this is your Instagram to keep that you're having a wild night.
So glad I came on this.
And we usually, when we're doing the round of shots, we film it, right? And I'm trying to do this doc, so I'm trying to film all the highlights of the night. So I'm filming the shots, and they take it, and then I guess Mike kind of like stumbled off a stool, and this big guy comes over to Mike and starts like joking around with him. So I'm filming it, thinking we're having a good time, but then Mike looks at me, he's like, all right, enough with the fucking camera. Like, I'm sick of this shit. I don't want any of this. And I'm like, Mike, I said I'm shooting like a documentary with the HD Cobra Adventure Cam. You're like, all right, but enough. It's making me uncomfortable, all right? Let's just have a good time. And I am fuming at this point when Mike tells me this. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to confront Mike in a bit, but I've got to cool down a little bit. So then our good friend Matt McPeak starts talking to me, and I notice in the corner of my eye that Max has pulled Mike aside, and I hear my name being mentioned every third word, so I'm just nodding to Peak, totally ignoring whatever the fuck he's saying to me, because I'm just trying to eavesdrop on this conversation. All of a sudden, a bunch of guys start doing push-ups, and I go to film it, and then Mike walks over, he's like, yeah, this you can film. And I go, Mike, why can I film this and not that? And Mike's like, because I don't like being fucking filmed. And then, and then I say, don't be a little fucking wiener. And
Way to censor yourself there, Shane.
I go, you're such a fucking wiener. Don't be a wiener, man. And you're like, don't fucking call me a wiener. And then Birchall's just watching this. He's like, "Oh fuck, I want to film this so bad,
So bad.
Yeah, and you're
Greg's just
and you're
cackling
loving
in the
it.
front.
We're creating like a scene, and I'm sober, and Mike's like, "I'm drunk right now. I don't want to talk about this."
I said you have me at a disadvantage in this argument.
And I'm like, "I agreed to do the Cobra Cam," and you're like, "Well, I don't want to be filmed." And then I go, "I was being filmed, and I had a cigarette in my mouth, and my wife messaged me like, 'Oh, why are you smoking?'" And and I'm like, and I didn't care. And you're like, "But I do care." and then
It's like
Max,
11:30, by the way, at this point.
So Max grabs me then, and Max takes me for my chat. And I'm like, okay.
I love that Max is, and by the way, we all know where Max ended up today.
Yeah.
But this was in the point where he's trying to mediate this confrontation. And what had happened in my defense was I took the shot while standing on the stool, and it was a hard shot to
a big
take.
shot.
And I was like, there was a minute there where I was like, oh God, this could not turn out well. The bouncer came over and he's like, dude, like, are you okay to stay? Like, he was basically like, and I was like, oh yeah. I'm a veteran drinker. Like, don't worry, I'm not going to puke. And that's when I noticed out of the corner of my eye that Shane had the Cobra cam. And I was just like, I don't want to be on camera while this bouncer's like confronting me, like potentially kicking me out of the bar, was my thinking. In my defense.
Yeah, it felt like some real gotcha journalism on Shane's part.
On some level.
And meanwhile, everyone's uploading things to Instagram constantly, and my edit, it's going to take me a while to do, and I would never publish anything without Mike's permission. And I would like to think he could trust me, but in that state, he was drunk and he was uncomfortable with the filming.
And philosophically, the idea that if we're out having a good time, it's just another thing I have to think about. Whether you put it on air or not, I don't care. It's just it's in the peripheral of my eye all the time.
We did agree that I would be shooting a doc with the Cobra HD Adventure Cam.
And Peak and I had just had a conversation where he was like at the game, which I mentioned, where he was like, is that camera going to be on the whole time? And I was like, he's shooting the thing.
And the answer is no. I was just shooting highlights. And the only reason I was even filming that part was because it was a shot, and I thought you and the bouncer were having a funny interaction.
It ended up being funny.
Point is, Max pulls me aside, and he's like, listen, I was just talking to Mike about this, but Steve Kerr has 4 golden rules. He's like, I'm just going to go over one of them.
always back to that.
And I'm like,
Coach Max.
I'm like, oh my God, this is going to take a while. And he goes, rule number 1 is compassion. He goes, that's just the one we're going to focus on. He goes, you know how Mike is. Mike's here to have a good time, and we have to be compassionate to the way Mike feels. You know he has an aversion to a camera in his face all night. And I told Mike the same thing. You're a quirky guy, Shane, and we love your quirks. Mike loves your quirks, and all we need to do is communicate. I'm dead sober, but it's kind of making me like tear up a little bit. Like Max is really like making a lot of valid points, and then I'm not ready to talk to you yet, but I'm almost getting there. But I agree that I am not going to film with the HD Adventure Cobra Cam. I'm like, I have enough footage to show that it's a fun night, and out of solidarity and all that for everyone, I'm not going to film. But then the guys who were intimidating me earlier with the money, Sean Dawson notices them. He goes, yo, those are 2 of the players from the Pistons. And what I realize is the reason they were harassing me is they noticed my Detroit Pistons hat. And they're like, this guy's a fan. I'm going to give him a thrill and get in his face. And then he's going to say, oh, it's whoever the f it is. He doesn't know I'm a total tourist just wearing this hat as a poser. So I'm just scared.
Probably knew.
So then Sean's like, yo, you got to get a picture with him. And I'm like, I want to pull out the HD Adventure Cam and film some of this because this is exciting to have the NBA players in the bar. But I want to make sure you don't see. So I sheepishly walk up to the guys, and they're like, oh, it's this guy who doesn't even know who we are. I go, hey, guys. And they're with these kind of like side chick-looking girls.
Oh, my God.
They don't really want to be
Perhaps
approached
their
at
wives.
this point. Yeah, it could be their wives. It did not seem that way at all. Like, you can get the vibe. And he's like,
hey, wives, let's go to this arcade on a Tuesday night.
And I go, hey, could I have a photo with you guys? And they're like, huh, okay. They stand up, and I pull out my HD cam, and then Sean takes the photo. So I kind of get it, and I'm like, camera's away. I'm not going to film anymore. After this, it's kind of a weird night because everybody is very not in the mood to party. The nut has already snuck out.
Where did you end up going, Mike?
Kind of Houdini'd out. Because the hard thing about like when you party with our gang is if you say goodbye, you're going to get heckled. So you just kind of got to go.
Our other friends are kind of like passing out. We have this one friend, Jay Kelly, who got really weird and really drunk, and he tried to steal a gingerbread house from a bar. So then he was really out of it. The nut is gone. Greg Veerman, who's driving the vehicle right now.
Greg was Greg. I'll try to bring the mic up to you. You were mad. Do you remember that Dan made you buy people drinks because you were being cheap, and then you bought a round of drinks, and then nobody wanted to drink them because we were all trying to leave? Do you remember that?
I don't. I do remember that now.
So Greg is out of it. This night is going to end, and I'm going to be the only guy who's really amped to party. So I'm trying to get everybody really psyched. I'm like, okay, guys, what do we want to do? Let's get drunk. And Dan Hamilton, who was dating Ice Cream Sandwich, is like, yeah, Shane, you're sober. He's like, you're sober. Have a drink. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to drink, but I'm going to like party harder than you guys. Then Escula goes up to me, my friend Rob, and he goes, Shane, I'm with you. I'm not drinking the rest of the night. Me and you are going to stay up later than everyone, and we're going to the casino. And then our friend Sean Dawson hears. He goes, did I hear casino? He's like, that's my only weakness. He goes, we're going to the casino for sure. I just need a hot dog. I'm like, okay. So we look around the room, and there's a blonde girl passed out on one of the tables, and there's a big fat guy passed out at the bar. And then Sean goes, but before we leave this place, you have to play a drum solo on that big fat guy's belly.
Challenge accepted.
And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm dead sober. Like, I'm not going to do that. And Rob goes, I'll do it. So Rob walks up to this big fat guy and plays a drum solo on his belly as he's passed out. And then Hold
on. Tell me that made the HD Cobra Adventure Cam footage.
I made a vow not to use it. No, I did not do it.
I was already gone.
And I was very scared to film this guy. This guy was fucking huge. So then Sean's like, okay, I just need a hot dog. And then Dan's like, no, I need a beer. We got to get drinks. We got to get one more drink. I'm like, let's get hot dogs and beer. So we're wandering around trying to find a place that does both. Then Greg Veerman's gone. We don't know where he went. Mike D leaves, the guitar player in the Arkell. So we really have a skeleton crew right now. It's maybe 4 guys. Then there's this big sign. It says hot dogs and beer. I'm like, there it is. Let's go. So we run there, and we all get these like crazy, disgusting chili dogs and fries. And I'm trying to like appease everyone. I'm ordering it, eating it. Everyone's kind of happy, but the food is making them tired. So I'm like, Sean, we're still going to that casino, right? He goes, hell yeah, I just got to make a stop first at the hotel. I'm like, oh, and he's kind of winking at me and being weird. I'm like, no, you have to go. He goes, oh, I'll go. Winks at me. Immediately after the chili cheese dogs, Sean gets an Uber. We all hop in, and then Sean's like, I got a secret to tell you. There's no way I can actually go to that casino. He's like, I just have to go to bed. I'm like, okay, Rob, me and you, we're going to have a night. We're staying up late. We're going to party. Rob goes, okay, let's do this. Absolutely. I'm pumped. Yes, casino. We're going to win big. I'm like, okay. So we get back to the hotel to drop off Sean and Peak. And then I'm like, oh, I need to make sure that I can get into my room because I'm going to be coming back late at night and I'm not registered under the room. So I show up to the concierge and I go, hey, I just want to make sure I can get my room late at night. I'm under Veerman. They go, are you Mr. Veerman? I go, I am not, but I'm staying with him. And they go, unfortunately, we need Veerman's card to prove. Like, you can't just go in and stay in another guy's room. I don't even know what room number it is, and no one's around. My phone's not working in Detroit. And then all of a sudden, there's this really drunk dude behind me. He goes, you need a Veerman? And I'm like, holy shit, it's Greg. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I'm fucking here. I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, hey, this is my buddy Greg. And I'm trying to act like he's sober. I'm like slapping his face and shit. And he goes, there's my ID. The guy goes, okay, looks it up. Yeah, Veerman. He's like, you're in room 406. I'm like, perfect. Greg, thank you so much. Now we need to get you to bed right now. And then I see Max Kerman, and he's hammered out of his mind at this point. And he's getting snacks. He's getting like barbecue Pringles and like a thing of ice cream. And he's putting it on the room. But he still thinks he's like Zen, like how he was acting like my dad or camp counselor or whatever before. But he's fucked out of his mind. So I'm like, Max, could you do me a favor and make sure Greg makes it to his room okay? He's like, well, does Greg want to go to his room? I'm like, Greg needs to go to his room. I'm going to the casino with Rob right now, and he's a liability. I'm like, I can't be responsible for him. And like, Mike's going to be pissed if we lose his brother. And he goes, well, let's ask Greg. He goes, Greg, do you want to go to the casino? And then Greg goes, yes, I want to go to the casino. And then Max goes, well, then he's going to go to the casino. I'm like, oh, fuck. And then Max just goes up the elevator with all the snacks. I'm like, okay, Greg, you're going to be good? I'm going to be great. So I'm like, okay, Rob, we have to keep an eye on Greg, okay? We cannot lose him. So we walk over to the casino. It's within walking distance. And then I'm like, we're going to find the roulette table, win some money, and then we're going to get the fuck out of here. Then Rob goes, Shane, do you even have any money? I go, Rob, I have $200. Do you even have any money? He goes, I have $11.75. So yeah, we both have money. Okay, so what's the plan? He goes, we're both going to put it on black. So I put $200 on black. Rob can put $10 on black because they won't let him put $1.75 on there. So we do one spin, all or nothing. Spins, the suspense is killing us. Lands on black.
Yeah.
Rob goes, woo! Woo! He's freaking out. He jumps on me, hugs me. We're spinning each other, making the biggest scene. Greg's jumping up and down. Rob takes his winnings. He takes half of it, which is $5, and flips it at the guy running the roulette wheel.
Tips the dealer.
And he goes, I love winning money. And then walks away. And that's how our night ended.
That's amazing.
And I didn't tip the guy anything, but yeah.
So you're up $200 right now.
You're up $200, American.
Yeah.
So this is a free trip for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a night.
That was epic. You have anything to add before we call Max?
No, I can't top that $200 winning story. My
Yeah,
night,
man. You want to see the cash?
My night ended a little bit differently.
Oh, right. You had you were like, I did something. I'm so ashamed I can't even talk about it on the pod.
Well, no, that's not exactly true, but it's partly true. No, I was reading the night, and I didn't eat dinner, so I was like cross-eyed drunk pretty early, and then I saw like you guys getting into it and Max playing. For those listening, Shane is flashing.
He's fanning himself with money.
Don't flash that around downtown Detroit, though. they'll jump you. No, I was kind of reading the room, and I was exhausted. I had to work today. One of the reasons we're not staying behind is because I desperately need to get to the office. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to be a responsible human being and try to get back in pretty decent shape. So I ended up sneaking away, and I got an Uber to take me to White Castle, where I ordered a 10-pack of sliders. And I grabbed my big bag of burgers, and I crawled into bed and watched The Holiday with Kate Winslet. And it was
this is because you wanted to keep in good shape?
That's right, yeah. So, you know what? Now that I've rehashed it, I actually think I did have the best night.
Yeah,
that is pretty good.
That's
Did you
pretty
crush
good.
all the sliders?
Yeah, but I'm on the Dan Hamilton diet, which means that we don't eat any bread. And I woke up literally covered in buns. But hey, man, when in Rome.
Man, it's a good diet.
All right, you guys want to call Max?
Get a hold of Max.
Hello?
Max, how you doing?
I'm okay. How you doing?
Max, how would you say that your morning's been so far if you had to recap it for the listeners?
It has not been pretty.
It sounds like a pretty successful birthday, though.
Very successful.
That's it. That's all. That's our episode. Thank you so much for listening. Our producer is not here at the moment, so one of you guys is going to have to step in for the goodbyes. Where can you find us on socials?
I don't know. That's a Shane thing.
Yeah, thanks to Jenna Gregory for those crazy doodles. And you can find us on Mike on Much on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. And I just want to thank Greg Stewart, Justin Stockman, all the people who help out the pod.
That's right. The Michael Much Podcast is produced by Max Kerman. I'm your host, Mike Veerman. See you next week if we don't die on the weekend.